And we are live, everybody. I want to thank everyone for joining the show, coming out and supporting us. We've got a really good show tonight. We're going to be talking about all these upcoming changes. Many of them have been in process, but they're accelerating, and they're really going to change the music industry. First of all, I want to thank my co hosts. I've got my younger brother, Richard Eddings, here. And Richard's been co hosting with me off and on. We've been having a good time doing that. And let's see. I need to get okay, and the broadcast. Not yet. Okay. I need to get the comments up. Okay, I put a link up for Michael Nolan, the bottom line. Michael Nolan's going to be joining us. Once again, I want to thank everybody that watches the show, whether you're watching live, whether you come in the chat or you don't come in the chat, whether you're a subscriber or not a subscriber. You're all very much appreciated. I check my analytics and I discover that half of the viewers of the show are not subscribers. The other half are subscribers, and we appreciate everybody that watches. But you know what? It would we would really appreciate if you just subscribed. It doesn't cost anything. Subscribing is free. And if you hit the notification bell, you'll get a little message sent to you saying, hey, we've got a show coming up sometime. I'll give you the time that it's coming up today.
You think that's
And
why?
it really helps the show grow when you subscribe. And there's also a like button. If you hit the like button, it lets the algorithm know that people like the show. And so when the algorithm sees people searching for content, and if it's anywhere near what we're doing, they'll match us up and recommend us to them. And then we get more views, more subscribers, and everything just continues to grow. So hitting the like button's important, subscribing's important. And beyond that, we just appreciate everybody that comes and watches. The show's been growing. We're really happy about that. The subscriptions are up, and looks like we just got joined by Angela and Kate. Hi, Angela and Kate. How you doing? And it looks like Michael Nolan's coming on here now. Let me say hi to a couple of people. Okay. And out there. Hi, Kate. So anyway, tonight we're going to be talking about the upcoming. Get Michael on here first. Hi, Michael.
How's it going, guys?
Going well. Okay, so let me just introduce everybody to the hosts here. Adjacent to me, I've got my younger brother, Richie Eddings. He's got his own YouTube show called Richie Eddings, The Jesus Movement. And my brother's a musician. He plays songs and sings all the shows. And he's actually a lot of fun to watch. He's a very funny guy. My brother, I've said this my whole life. When he starts talking and kidding and starts laughing, it's so contagious. It's like we all laugh on cue every time he laughs, It's one of those kind of characters. Okay. And below us is our great friend and as far as I'm concerned, YouTube superstar. And that's Michael Nolan, the bottom line. I know you get mad when I say that stuff, but I've never seen explosive growth like I've seen with Michael's show. It's a fantastic show. You've all got to go see Michael Nolan, the bottom line. You've been doing a couple of shows a week now, haven't you, Michael, or kind of averaging that?
Yeah, Bruce. I tried to. By the way, are you picking me up? I've got new headphones in. So
yes, perfectly. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. That's why I got them for you, Royce.
Great.
No, listen. You know what? The channel has grown a ton, and I don't make light of that. It's been phenomenal. But Royce, you have been there from the beginning. You have supported my channel, and all I can say is thank you. You were there when I had 119 subscribers, right? And you have supported my channel from the beginning, and I have never ever forgotten that. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. I really appreciate hearing you say that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and Richie, now your channel's been starting to grow here recently too.
Just recently, I'm picking up people, but it's like, I'm in a different kind of thing, with faith and Jesus and stuff like that. It's not like, how Jesus was persecuted.
Right.
I mean, he couldn't even get his own people to, accept him. Right.
Right.
Kind of feel like a little bit of that's going on here, but I feel like that if it's supposed to happen, God's going to make it happen, and it's going to happen fast. when it happens. That's where I'm at, and I'm just barely climbing up the ladder on subscribers. It seems like I've dug up every one of them. I tell people all the time, but it's like I get more views than I have subscribers.
Well, Richie, when I first started, I quite literally dug up my first 500 subscribers. I mean, if I went out for a soda, I would convert that person at the register right then and there.
Yeah,
and no shame. I had no shame. I still don't have any shame. More power to you, brother. That's all I can say.
I was in Walmart the other day in the electronics section. I was talking to this guy. And I got his number. I gave him my number. Never seen him before in my life. I told him all about the show and everything else. I don't think, and I told him give me a call, but he never did. But that's what I was doing. I was thinking about getting some business cards. Like, subscribe, and notification.
You should. You should. As a matter of fact, Richie, we talked about the importance of business cards back with. On one of your live streams, Royce, with Lou Mars, and how to survive the music business. And one of the things we brought up was everybody thinks we live in a digital world. And yes, if you are working and someone's willing to transfer information on a phone, it's great. But there is power in business cards still to this day.
There sure is.
Yes.
I was in real estate for over 20 years, and I don't know how many thousands of cards went out there,
but
I sure sent a lot of them and gave a lot of them out.
Oh, yeah.
Michael, picking up on what you were saying about, you run into somebody and you get them to subscribe when you're trying to get going. And I've done the same thing. I walked into Craig and Automotive to buy some power steering fluid, I think it was. And the guy goes, "Royce in the house." I go, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, remember you were in here. We talked and I signed up while you were here." And a bunch of the other guys came over and two more guys subscribed. And I go out to the construction site, and I'll be talking to somebody. I got electricians and roofers, subscribing to my channel.
Well, that's interesting because I am just now starting to get recognized at stores in my town, in my local town. For the most part, despite the phenomenal growth, I'm a small little nothing channel still, right? And I'm not belittling the growth, Royce, at all. But compared to channels that have 100,000 and the silver play channels and then the gold play channels with 1 million, these people are. I just saw a channel that was about 5 times my size. Right. And I've been tracking this guy. He talks about the weirdest stuff. It's called the WF files. If anybody out there is watching it. Okay. So he talks about weird things like Tesla knew the secret of the pyramids. And I'm a sucker for conspiracy kind of things. And so, but 6 months ago, this guy was, quite literally 5 times my size. He just passed 1 million subscribers within 6 months, guys, within 6 months. So if you guys are out there, and I know there's people who are watching, the stream tonight that have their own channels. And if you're frustrated with slow growth, it happened to me. Okay. That's all I can say. And I've hammered the doors. I've begged, borrowed, and stolen subscribers. Never buy them. Never. That's shameful. Shameful.
Honestly, I've just started doing that. Really, I just really started, trying harder. I don't get out much, really, and I need to get back out there. I need to go. I haven't even gone to church in months, and I used to belong to a church or several churches I belonged to, and I'm going to have to do all of that again. And I've got one in mind, but I just got to get out there more.
Some of the ideas you talked about when you started, you were going to go like to homeless camps and talk to people and try to. I thought that was going to be a huge home run.
The thing about it is my technological abilities.
Yeah.
Because
now
all this information and do these videos, then I won't be able to play them.
Right. What I did, Ricky, I knew I was going to do a channel. I had no equipment. right? And so my wife and I each have a small stipend, an allowance, guys. I get an allowance just like when I was a kid.
Right.
But and I would
So
spend
for you
that
to do whatever you
for
want to do.
yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
whatever I want to spend it on, you know? And so I slowly over a year bought my equipment, the lighting that's lighting me right now,
Right.
wall art that you see on there, the screen behind me, right?
Right.
All
Yeah.
of that I bought in increments. While I was doing that, I hit
Right.
the internet and I looked up every single possible tutorial on how to edit videos, how to shoot, how to achieve a motivational three-dimensional type of natural lighting,
Right.
and all of that. That's where, you know, so when I hit the ground running, I thought, okay, I'm just going to be right out there, and nothing, guys, nothing.
Oh.
But my channel wasn't even what it was about now. I was
Right.
going to just do tutorials on tech. I've always loved tech. I've
Right.
been computer savvy since they came out.
Okay.
So I'm not your average baby boomer, you know. As far as being tech illiterate, I'm not at all. But I put that effort in. And if you guys have already launched a channel or whatever, put an hour or two in a day on learning and just improve one thing about your video.
Right.
Every single video.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to experiment with what you're doing and be willing to let your ego get bruised, because what you think people are going to find so hilarious falls flat on its face. Trust me.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Right.
You know,
No, I believe you.
every time I do a rant, my rant videos either do extremely well or they fall flat on their face and I wind up offending half of my audience, you know. So
Right.
you've got, but at least what you're getting on my channel is an honest impression of what I think. And I always state that it's
Right.
just my freaking opinion, guys.
No, I know.
That's all it is. And the real discussion handles like right now in the peanut gallery,
Yeah.
you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm trying to do. Once I recognized that the channel had like, okay, there's the framework, that's when it took off. So if anybody out there is experiencing extreme slow growth, change is inevitable. Might as well get to it right now, you know,
Right.
because
You know,
tomorrow's going to come
add in
and next year is going to come, right?
Well, you know, that's exactly right. I mean, I have you're focused on, you know, you've got a show, it's a single playlist, and I'm a little spread out. Yeah, I've got a Royce Construction playlist, but you know, some of those are like, you know, 5,000 and 6,000 views, 4,000 views, you know. Same with my, you know, why we love the Central Coast or tours of famous places. That's where I really get into my big views, is in those.
Right.
And but you know, this is my favorite show. I call this the flagship, the live podcast, because everything.
Well,
else
this is my favorite thing you do too. But I'm a fan, as you know, of your other videos. You know,
right.
But I'm frustrated that your this show hasn't taken off even more. But
No, me too.
it will. Stay the course, boys. You know, because. I'm here because I enjoy it. I like the discussion, even when I can't get on and I'm, you know, sick in bed or whatever reason. I'm usually in the peanut gallery myself. You know, this is one of my hangouts, and I appreciate just being able to be here. You know, and it will grow. It will grow.
Yeah, it will.
My thing is, I've tried to walk away from this many times, right? You know, because I've just, I keep getting pulled back in it, not from me. I know there's something bringing me back. So I come back and I keep on doing it. I pick up a few more people and stuff like that. But, you know, I'm going to have to just make up my mind. I'm really weird about the whole thing, you know? I'm not like really wanting to do it all the time and stuff like that. But I keep having to come back and do it. And there's just something inside me. I know what it is, but I just got to, I think you know, there's something inside me telling me not to stop. So,
you know, I've got to throw
I've added a couple of things. Wait a minute. I've added a couple of things. I've added the Ram's horn. Let's see if I can get it. At least if I can get it the first time, right? I'll see if I can get it the first time. Wait, hold on. Wait. Well, I almost got it. Okay. And I've added this.
The rain stick.
I figured that might help, you know.
Yeah,
that's just a joke. That's a joke.
It's helping a lot.
The winds of Thor are blowing cold.
I've got a little keyboard sitting here that does all kinds of sounds. I could have a helicopter sound in the middle of my show and start playing it. I'd say, "Oh my God, I got to stop! They're after me now!" Right? Oh my God! Right?
I want to welcome our friend The Waxed. I've been watching a lot of his shows. The Waxed. He's with Rachel a lot, and he's a great guy. He's a lot of fun. And we've had fun on Rachel's show together, and I've been whenever, you know, his shows pop up, and I'll pop in and watch him. And I always enjoy it. The Wax is a great guy. I highly recommend everybody go visit The Wax on his channel and subscribe to him. You know, you won't be sorry. He's got a good show, and he's very entertaining. We love the guy. So anyway, tonight, guys, we're going to get into the changes that are been taking place, and are continuing to take place, and some of them pretty radical in the music industry. And I'm gonna kind of go over a brief outline, but then I have many more notes that fill in the blanks and stuff like that. You know, some of the music industry is constantly in a state of change. You know, and the industry is expected to keep changing. It's never going to stop. But some of the main things are the streaming continues to dominate. Now, I didn't know this until I started really reading, but we have 82 million subscribers to streaming services in the United States, 82 million. And worldwide, there's 524 million worldwide streaming. And so the streaming services are really starting to dominate, you know, and it's fueled by the Gen Z and the millennials. And, you know, it's like, what is it? 84% of the U.S. music industry income is from streaming.
Okay, what is Gen Z? What is that an age group?
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
is that younger than the millennials?
I think older. Older. Oh, they're slightly older.
Isn't Z older? The millennials are the ones that are coming up, right?
Yes,
I thought
that's right.
Baby boomers, millennials are before the baby boomers, right?
Right.
But then Gen Z is after the
millennials. The baby boomers.
Baby boomers were first. Yeah,
that's
that group.
That's us,
right? The rest of them didn't even have names.
Yeah.
But so anyway, another topic here will be the rise of the indie artists. Indie artists. Now, indie is strictly indie stands for independent. They don't have a record label. They're doing their own thing. And with all the streaming services out there today, it's a lot easier to do your own thing and get it going without a major record label. Now, Michael, you'd probably know more about that than anybody.
I know that it's not making a whole lot of money for a lot of the indie bands, for one thing. Yeah. Yep.
It's not.
No. It's guerrilla tactics that musicians have been using for the last 30 years at least. Same thing, getting their stuff up. They're getting paid a percent of a penny per listen. And unless they really catch on, now some of the indie bands that have caught on can make a bit of money doing that. And I encourage everybody to cover all the bases anytime if you're a musician out there. You gotta play the gambit. You got to do everything you can, you know.
It seems like it would kind of mess with the heads of these record companies and stuff too, because you know it's taking money out of their pockets. But, you know, they've kind of been on a high horse for years, you know. I
was going to give you an example. A friend of mine just put out an album, Quinn Hedges, one of the best guitarists on the planet, all right? I've met 3 guitarists that I've played with that have blown my mind, and he's one of them. He's got this fantastic album. It was mastered by Bob Ludwig, all right, who mastered Led Zeppelin, all right? This album is incredible. And I know that he's doing everything he can to self-promote. This guy's out of the Sacramento area. He has played arenas. He is definitely what you would call a regional artist, okay? And my talks with him and everything is he hasn't made anywhere near the money he should be making on his CD that's out, which is as good a product, whether you like it or not, whether you like the style or not.
Right.
That thing is as good a product as anything else by any other band out today. All right, I love it. I absolutely love that album.
I think it's because of the promotion of the actual band and the album. There's not enough.
Well, I know that he's gotten a lot of regional promotion, and he's opened for big acts in the past and everything. And it looks like he's ready to launch and everything. And he makes, he is always on. He does any kind of show, from a full band show to just him and his guitar. I mean, he is a busker. What do you call that? Robot. The man knows. He is a busker in every sense of the word, right?
Wow.
And he is as talented as anybody out there, and he's having a tough time getting in. We've talked to Lou Mars in the past, and he's having a tough time surviving in the time. So when you're talking about regional acts, it is a tough time. At least it is out here in good old sunny California, which is currently underwater. What's that?
When you say regional, are you talking about independent?
When I say regional, all right, the furthest I ever got was 3, 4, 5 county area. Okay, that's not regional. Northern California would have been kind of regional back in my day. In those days, you had the San Francisco sound, then you had the LA sound, and those were regions within the state, right? And you would try to get hot. You would try to link up with the major bands there. That was your step up. And a lot of bands got real close. I remember a band in this area called Crossfire. And Gary, the guitarist in that band, was absolutely fantastic. They were opening up for the Sons of Chaplin. They were opening up for some of the major San Francisco bands. And boom. But that's what happens to 99% of all of us musicians, right? And if you don't enjoy the ride, get off the damn roller coaster. It's the ride. It's not the freaking destination. It's where you are in the moment. And if you're not enjoying yourself.
No, that's
I tell you, I enjoyed many years of it, tell you the truth.
Which, by the way, Royce, one of the things, when you first told me we're going to talk about trends that will continue there are a ton of negative trends coming in right now. And just one of the things that's happening, all of these bands I've just mentioned, pouring their hearts out, doing whatever they can, developing a catalog, right? A discography.
Right.
And here we got more morons with lesser and lesser original members. Foreigner, anybody? And they're touring like jukeboxes, and they're getting caught with backing tracks that would have killed anybody's career 20 years ago. It did, right? And now we have a new audience, and this is part of the problem, or it's my wake-up call, because I'm going to tell you, we've got an audience that's not there primarily for the music anymore. It's like, I went and saw Foreigner. The hell you ever did? You never saw Foreigner. Not the Foreigner that wrote and recorded those songs. You got Mick Jones coming up for a 20 to 45 minute set, maybe, and not showing up at other concerts. That makes him a tribute band. I'm not against tribute bands, but guess what? But this is the first.
Being the only guy there.
But this is the first time in history that tribute bands are commanding $1,000 and up ticket prices. What the hell?
Exactly.
And another thing that's going to continue is Ticketmaster as a professional scalper, and the bands that are in bed with them are fellow scalpers. I want it to go back to the original scalper, the guy with the tucked up coat going, hey, come here, buddy. I got tickets for you. I'll deal with him. I'll deal with him any day over the bastards that are out there right now. You know?
I bought some tickets. I bought some tickets this year, and I thought I was buying them from the ticket agency, and it turned out that it was somebody that was reselling them. When the bill came in, it was actually more than what the seats were priced at. You know.
Well, you know what? Everybody that's online watching us right now, ask yourself this: how many of you are going to go and pay a $4,000 ticket to be up front and meet and greet the band, possibly? I have one person, when I did my video that one of several videos that I covered this, and they said, well, actually, because he said for his $8,000 ticket, that included 8 friends and a meet and greet, some wine and whatever. And that's another thing. I realized that that's a corporate ticket, baby. Yeah. I've worked for corporations. I've worked every damn job you could possibly think of on this planet. And I can tell you, sales is just one of the jobs I've done, and I've done it real well. Yeah, I smell it. I smell it. I smell it. It's there. This is corporate bullshit. This is called what I call boutique touring now, and cruise ship touring. Oh, thank you, Kiss. Oh, Gene Simmons, you're such a freak ass. You know, I mean, you know, and then that's another thing. He's talking about there's going to be bands. There's going to be Kiss one day with 4 brand new members. See, Kiss is now a brand. It's like, who's drawing Thor for the next 7 years at Marvel? Right?
Right.
Does that make sense to anybody? But people are lining up. It's a different crowd out there, folks. I covered the Smashing Pumpkins, Billy Corgan's brand new album. He's giving hints that he wants actors on stage. This is no longer a rock concert. This is a different kind of event. Either I got to wake up and smell the coffee with my wristband, a part of the light show. See that coming, folks? Bullshit. This is and what are we not talking about here? Well, we're not talking about brand new albums by these gluttons like Quinn or Crossfire from the 70s, right? No, we're not talking about new music. We're talking about more, and here's another trend for you, Royce, more box sets, more remixes, more. Here's a show from Neil Young you never thought you'd ever listen to because we couldn't shove it down your throat fast enough before. All right? And vinyl is going to continue. There's another trend. It's going up. But so CDs are making a comeback. So what do you do? People want things. I think people are getting tired of everything in the cloud, you know?
Right. You listen to a lot of stuff that the younger people are listening to nowadays. It's all produced, synthesized crap. I mean, to me it is. I like to go see a concert where they're just got their instruments and they're doing it, you know? And
they're playing it as they can with the members they have, right? That's why we used to love Led Zeppelin. And I like it when a band doesn't sound like the record. Okay, that's what, but I'm a musician and I understand. I'm not your average concert goer. Your average concert goer aren't musicians, they're fans. And but even 20 years ago, your average concert goer, again, not musicians, fans, hung people out to dry for using backing tracks. Right? Tommy Lee sits down and the drums start before his butt hits the drum phone. Vince, the same band has members saying, we hate people who use backing tracks, and yet we find that even Vince Neil's tracks have been massaged from behind. Okay? All right? I did a whole video of several bands that have been busted doing this, and I also stated there is a time where backing tracks are okay. Like, for example, you got an artist and he loops live in front of you. That becomes a backing track, right? As soon as he's looped that first line and then he adds the bass player. But that's the performance. I love that, okay? Or if a band... Or if a band has a church bell at the beginning of a song, all right, and they have a recording of that church bell, or a storm, or something like that, I guess I'm okay with that. That
I want to see
the
that
Who,
church
and I saw the Who do Quadrophenia, and I heard stuff coming that wasn't on stage, but the basic music was being played in front of me, right? So there is a level where it's okay and it's not okay. But lip syncing, and you know what? We've got fat, drunken, old men called Motley Fool sitting around encouraging other grown men to show their penises and grope women.
Right.
Trailer trash rock band of the century, right? And they can't even freaking play live, and everybody can't get enough. Nobody can get enough of that band, you know. I don't understand it. It perplexes me, folks.
Well, I hear you, Michael.
Don't get me wrong. I don't mind if somebody does some synthesized stuff or whatever, as long as they're doing it right there.
Right.
I don't mind that. You know?
Right. Exactly. I'm all for that. Or, you know what? Another one of my viewers, in the latest comment on my new video, he said he didn't mind if guitar techs were playing I saw that with the first live comeback of Fleetwood Mac. You could tell they were playing the majority of the stuff there, but there were guitar techs, there were backup singers in the background and everything, and I didn't like that, right? But at least if you're going to have those people, quit hiding them. Bring them out, give them some sunshine, show us what's going on.
Their studio guy right up there with them.
Right. Now, those fools those people never fool musicians. We know that Robert Plant shaking the tambourine while Jimmy's going nuts and Robert's supposed to shut up. We're not hearing the tambourine, right? It's not being mic'd. But it's a thing he's just doing probably to keep his own rhythm, to keep him in groove with what's happening, because they were a jam band, despite the fact that nobody considers, Led Zeppelin a jam band, but they were, basically. They fit the criteria perfectly.
The improv that took place, in the guitar playing, drums, and
But this whole thing, Stevie Nicks up there shaking something you can't hear, that's show business. And that's okay. That's okay, but bring out the people, if you've got Lindsey Buckingham being doubled for a harmony piece, bring out the guy, let it, I just want more honesty.
Nothing wrong with harmonizing. I have to give a shout out right now to Norman Maslow, Mazzy. Mazzy's got a great show.
Yeah.
Very smart guy. I love going and watching him whenever I can, and he's on Rachel's a lot, and he's with other people a lot, and I pop in and watch him. Mazzy, we really appreciate you being here. It's a feel good type of a thing, because you're such a prominent figure in this little world we're living in. So thanks for being here, buddy, and we hope you enjoy this tonight. And we're talking about the ways the music industry is changing. And of course, one of the things that hasn't really been brought up too much yet is all the technological changes, the virtual reality concerts and things like that. And they're also starting to, artificial intelligence machines are learning music production and expected to become more widespread. So there's a lot of technological things going on. From what I understand, back in the summer of love, 100,000 people migrated to the Haight-Ashbury area, and it was the whole country was full of protests. You had the women's protest, you had the Latinos protest with Cesar Chavez, you had the Vietnam protests in battles that were taking place. The 4 students were shot in Ohio at Kent State by the National Guard. And it was just everybody was protesting something. And so there was a real social awareness taking place. And they're saying one of the things that's going to be changing is a greater emphasis on social issues going forward in the music that's being made. So that it'll be interesting to see if that plays out anything like what we've seen in the past.
What's that mean?
What?
A greater emphasis on social issues for the music.
Yeah, things that are going on that people aren't happy about in the country. And that stuff could start playing out more and more in the music that we're going to be hearing.
You mean like they're
injustices.
Well, that ought to be interesting.
Well, we'll see what happens, but it's all about artists using their platforms to raise awareness about important issues and promote positive change.
Oh, I see. Okay, so that's what they were doing in the '60s, man. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Okay, so really, first of all, I've done a couple of videos on this bullshit.
That's what I'm trying to get out here.
All right. Bullshit, so first of all, I am a complete advocate of freedom of speech.
Right.
Absolutely.
I buy music and always have by artists who I do not agree with politically.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
100% of my soul supports an artist's right to put that out, and an equal opportunity to get it out to be heard.
Right.
Then he or she need to shut their freaking mouths and play their music and let their art speak for them and get the freak out of politics. I'm tired of it. And you know what? I've used a couple of people, and I don't even think about sides when I make my videos. I just chose the loudest mouths that were in my head. But I got a few people saying, oh yeah, well, you don't like the left, obviously, blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't like the alt-left, and I don't like the alt-right. I'm somewhere in the middle, and I do tend to vote my pocketbook. So there's my politics, folks. All right, I'm right down the middle. And I'm a show me kind of person. You want money out of my wallet, you got to give me something that works. All right, that's how I vote. All right, I have voted Democrat and Republican. All right, so I hate the fact that Norman's right. Norman is
right. I said the same thing, Michael, before you joined us. I avoid politics like the plague.
Yeah. And as I'm talking, I'm thinking, oh boy, you're hanging yourself out to dry. But since I started, no, I'm just saying that with all of that in mind, I want it clear, because I've never gotten to say this on video. I want Ted Nugent to shut his pie hole. Okay, I'm not just against Roger Waters or Bruce Springsteen preaching. I mean, their shows have become induction centers to me. And I don't want to hear Ted Nugent's side of the story either. Sing it in a song, Ted. I want my gun, baby. I want my gun. I'll buy it and I'll make up my mind. But you know what? But you know what? When you have Bruce Springsteen getting upset that the right embraced Born in the USSA, that to me, that's sour grapes, man. Every songwriter on the planet knows if you put something out there, it's no longer yours. The Beatles would say that. Paul and John both said that, once you put it out there, it's out there. And we need to let it.
Going to work nowadays. None of that stuff's going to work nowadays.
No, everybody's looking for a new guru these days, Richie.
It worked back then, but it's not going to work now. I guarantee it won't work now.
Yeah.
Well, they actually had something to say back then. You know what? Yeah. Our generation made a lot of mistakes, but we made a lot of good movements too. All right? A lot of good stuff came out of that generation. All right?
Well, it had to come out in that generation, though. It had to.
Yeah. It had to. Right. And so I think what happened, and yeah, you're right, Richie, a lot of that stuff happened as a necessity. I grew up watching Body Bags from the time I was 8 years old until Nixon pulled off everybody at the last minute. 73 spring? 73. Anyway, I had already had my... I had already signed up for the draft. That was my entire freaking childhood. That was everybody's childhood. And things had to change. We don't need troops shooting college students, all right? We don't need people assassinating our presidents. We don't need people assassinating people that you don't agree with because he's got a loud mouth or his religion isn't yours. Things had to freaking change. And we changed it.
Assassinating people.
Well, here's the thing.
Why aren't they still assassinating people? Come on.
We did our best. And guess what? Every generation makes their mistakes. And the challenge for the next generation is to go, be gentle on the generation before you. Baby boomers, it seems like, have become a joke. And I resemble that remark. But I don't care. I don't care because I don't think it's a joke. All right. We did a lot of great things and we made some horrible mistakes. I mean, the drug scene and all of that, the free love, unchecked desires achieved, and right up your nose with a rubber hose, baby. We made a ton of mistakes. Learn from them, young people. Learn from them. Do better. Do better. Quit criticizing and get your asses and do better.
Yeah. We made it through all that, all the different things that were happening at once. We made it through all that.
I've got a 23-year-old daughter, and that's what I tell her every day. Every day, do better. I mean, she hates my politics. She's rather left, right? And we have great conversations, and we almost have to develop a sense of humor in order to even talk about those kinds of things. But I always tell her, don't criticize. We did what we did. And every generation does the best thing they can do. Now pick up the cross. Sorry, Norman. But anyway, pick up the burden.
Right.
I'm really surprised that nobody's been assassinated right now. What's going on right now? I'm really surprised. I don't know.
Let's go on with some of the trends.
Well, that's what we're kind of doing in a way. We're kind of doing it in a way.
Well, you were talking about a trend in music, and that launched this discussion. We weren't too far off.
It was totally appropriate. Okay, some of the other trends. There are going to be more limitations on, or no limitations on genre, language, or even culture. It used to be that if you wanted to hit songs, you wanted to really make some money, you better be able to produce that song in English. Well, that's kind of all going away right now.
Okay.
Take a look at Rolling Stones joke lately. Their 200 greatest. It's like a kumbaya list. It's like we are the world list.
It's the anything goes the top trend. Anything goes. Woke.
And Robert Plant down at number 46. They should be hung for that.
Things are becoming possible that never before seemed achievable, like this. This Korean band, like the K-pop stuff and things like that. I mean, that trend's just going to continue. The number one trend that will redefine the music industry, they're claiming, is going to be TikTok. TikTok will rule over the digital world with more than 1 billion active users. I'm one myself. TikTok's rise in the cyber world is undeniable. The social media platform is constantly expanding and growing. Strong as its viral videos and songs with its light, fun, and short content, TikTok has produced many new musicians, helped a lot of up-and-coming artists stand out in a pile of the masses, offering opportunities for a multitude of creators. TikTok has ranked as one of the top impactful music promotion platforms of 2022, and that's continuing in 2023. It will probably continue beyond that. And if you've got multilingual songs, you can almost be guaranteed hits. If you're talented, multilingual songs will surely redefine the music industry. I know the band Bad Bunny, or the guy Bad Bunny. He's not really a band. Sometimes he's with a band, but Bad Bunny's maybe the number one artist in the whole world today. From Puerto Rico, doesn't speak any English. He speaks Puerto Rican, And some of these people are really starting to cross over, regardless of.
Now, why would you think that somebody that doesn't speak English? Now, I'm not cutting that person down. Would be a big hit here?
Why?
Why would you think that somebody that's speaking only Chinese would be a big hit in the United States? Why would that be?
Yeah, I don't think I can answer that. I bet Michael could.
Get it.
Michael can answer that.
Well, we're a melting pot. Why wouldn't it be? Why wouldn't it be big? What was the name of that Japanese song? And it itself was a cover, and that was sung in was it early 60s? I was real young, and it was like a top 10 hit. I mean, I thought at the time it was #1. It was all sang in Japanese. Maybe somebody
it was a female singer, right? A woman sang it.
No. Oh yeah, it was.
I remember that. I remember that.
And I'm just trying to understand this stuff. I'm just trying to understand why, you know.
Just like the girl from Ipanema. Now that was in English, but that was in a genre that wasn't hot at the time. And boy, look what took off there. We're a melting pot, man. We're not middle white America anymore. You know, that's not been true for decades, and it's starting to show.
That's what it is. We're losing our ground.
But what you're going to see is Spanish.
No, we are what we are, Richie. That's all. You know, we are what we are. America is what it is at any particular time. You know, if there's right now, America is a hell of a lot more Hispanic than it was, say, 50 years ago. All right. So it is what it is. That's all it is.
It's totally fine. It can be a number of things, and it's totally fine. But this is America. You got to remember.
Well, I'm all for keeping American values.
You got to remember that we got to stay. We got to keep our country, and we got to have. You know, people should adapt to that, instead of us all adapting to everything else. That's
if it's got a good beat.
Well, I've already said enough to get me in trouble tonight, so I'm going to just kind of go off on that. But you know, I have no trouble with.
I think Angela just nailed it.
Sukiyaki, that's it. Yeah. That's the one. Thank you, Angela.
Please.
Awesome.
Please help me. I love everybody. I love all the different cultures and all the different people that we have here.
Yeah. Another one is what's his name? Who did? He covered it. Oh, good Lord! He died young. He was still 16. Real big. Had 2 or 3. La Bamba. I mean, you know, again, anything good in any language. I mean, when the Beatles were out, people in every other country collected English-speaking Beatle albums. They didn't care. The music was just that good. And America, that's one of our strengths. I'm all for a cultural exchange in music. I just don't want Rolling Stone shoving it down my throat with their new world order view of things. Like I've said in the past, Rolling Stone used to be a rock and roll mag with a political agenda. They are now a political agenda that makes hints and allegations towards rock and roll. Thank you, Jan Wenner.
What Royce was saying about the social thing going into the music, it's going to ruin music, I think. I think it's going to ruin it. If it gets in there too heavy, it's just not going to be fun no more.
Norman, thanks for hanging out with us. Really appreciate it, buddy.
Well, I don't mind the changes. I just don't want to see. What I don't want to see is agendas being pushed, because people in power now have that power, and so now they are going to change you. Because we know what's good for you.
What's good for you?
Bullshit. Right. Bullshit. I'll never succumb to that.
Well, let's see what the new musicians come up with, right? The new artists come up with. But you have to wait and see.
Yeah. Well, I say let the competition live. You know, that's all I say. You know, be competitive. The best music will win.
Have that kind of heart to start protesting in the music and start pushing agendas and stuff. Do they really have that kind of heart, or is it all a bunch of bullshit?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just going to be more. You know what I'm saying? It's not going to have the heart that it did in the '60s, where we had equal rights and the wars going on and stuff. It's just not going to be like that.
Right. Well, see, then I think a lot of the things, you know, even Middle America, their, you know, late 60s, early 70s, they were starting to change their tune. Yeah. There wasn't quite the reticent, no, we need to save South Vietnam from the commies kind of viewpoint. Things were too tight. We were, as a nation, still showing, even officially, we were racist at that point. You know, when you can't drink at a fountain because you are a certain shade of flesh. That's all it is. We all come from the same people. I got news for you. Right. And wherever our tribe was, right? See what I did there, Royce? But wherever our tribe was over tens and tens and tens of thousands of years, you know, affected us, and races developed, okay?
Right.
But we're all brothers and sisters under the skin. We are the same. And anybody who is promoting anything else, that's hate. That's hate right there.
That's hate. Well, you know, Angela just brought something up. You know, she's asking about people that started music, but then get into acting and other things. And then they do. You know, it's kind of like.
Or actors who think they're musicians, Kevin Bacon. I saw him live.
Oh yeah, I saw him live.
Yeah, the Bacon Brothers. Yeah,
I saw them. Yeah, the Bacon Brothers. I saw him on one of the late night shows, Dave Leno or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, they were actually pretty good. They weren't bad. You know. But
concert style, you bust out a door for a ticket or anything. But they were bad, you know.
Okay, what I want to say is there's another trend is called sync licensing. And what you're starting to see is people want to make sure that they're, let's see, how are they putting this? The music business prospers more when it's associated with other mediums. It's always been the case. You hear a song from your favorite movie and you start loving it more because of the positive relationship with a specific scene or character. So people want to, you know, they want to start syncing up with other media. So the best platform to get your music noticed are television, video streaming services, electronic games. You know, Michael Jackson was had some music in some electronic games. I'm sure plenty of people do. Advertisement, films, and cinema. The best way to connect your art to these platforms is to make licensable music. Therefore, publishing and linking your music to various forms of media will guarantee increased exposure. Then you've got the multi-genre and hybrid tracks. We're starting to cross over, this whole genre business has always kind of bothered me. It's all rock and roll, right? I mean, I don't care if it's metal or grunge or...
It's all the roots of rock and roll. Big hair rock. It's the root of it all.
It's still rock and roll. And I don't understand the importance of all these little sub-genres to try to define little bits of it. When it's always been crossing.
That's the problem, because it's rock and roll until it isn't rock and roll. All right.
But obviously country's different from rock and roll.
What you're saying is grunge and metal and all that stuff it's fads. Trends are fads too.
Yeah.
You know, it's grunge, and they're all going to dress grunge. It's what is it? What's the gothic? Okay, they're not going to be gothic music. They're going to be. Trends and fads go together.
Oh yeah, and I love them though, because we've gotten great bands that are willing to go to the extremes, and all of a sudden they perform a piece of art. A piece of art. That's the way I look at music, especially albums by people in pop and rock and blues and everything. That's their art. That's their painting that they've given us, and it really became a painting with. Actually, Frank Sinatra did it in the 50s. He beat the Beatles. But the first big act to put out an album that would be just nothing but an album, that was the Beatles, and it was called Rubber Soul. They did that album with no intentions other than to do this to make it sound like within itself. It was to be taken for the first time in rock and roll as an entire work of art. And from that time on, those albums, and I think that's part of the why people are still into vinyl, Richie, is because they've got these really nice, large, that's almost the size of a painting. People now, I just saw an article. Millennialists are actually more responsible for the growth in vinyl than our generation. Okay, they're actually buying most of the vinyl right now, or at least whatever percentage, however they figure it. But and what they like to do is place their album art on the wall. They've got special mounts, they can change it, and they just love the experience. And I think, that's what's happened.
Albums, He wallpapered his whole wall with albums. It was really cool looking,
Yeah. And here's another thing. I think there's the problem with CDs is you can put 2 albums on a CD, practically, right? But it's also a one-way thing. You put it in, no matter how beautiful the artwork is, it's smaller, first of all, but you put it in, you never see it while it plays, all right? So it goes out of your head, but it's also one way. And by one way, I mean, you never have to flip to side 2. There is something about picking up a record, flipping it. It's not just the aesthetics. It does something to your mind, especially if this is a piece of art in your head. You're going, now I need to see the lower half of the painting. It's almost that. All right. That's why
I can totally relate, Michael.
That's why when we were kids, we'd sit huddled on the floor with our albums going, look, who is this guy? I don't know who this guy is, And they go, oh, that's Brian Jones. He's from the Rolling Stones. Oh, well, why is he on this album? And poring over it and listening for different things each time you listen to it. It's like reading, people who love to read poetry, people who want to go to the Louvre and experience the masters in person. That's our art. That's our art. And you purchase it and you place it on a pedestal, don't you?
Absolutely.
Right?
If you have a nice turntable and a nice system, there's nothing better than vinyl. There's nothing better.
Because when you get to it, when you get down to it, and you get all the nuts and bolts down, vinyl versus CD, CD is superior. It's got a lot more headroom, blah, 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 blah. And the warm sound you're hearing, I've done research, is actually distortion. And I have this whole idea. We've been scratching on the walls since we were cavemen, right? Painting on the walls, scratching on the walls, grooving into our temples, right? And that's what the record is. It's a groove. We've cut into this thing. We are still, and the scraping, is it in our genetic makeup? Because the scraping that we've heard for eons, as we've done our art, it has to be in what we're hearing. And I think that's one of the things that people are hearing in vinyl. That warm, it's almost like going back to the womb, I'm safe again.
When the needle hits the vinyl, you just miss that,
There's something to everything you just said, because there's nothing like it. I'll bring home 4 new albums or 4 used albums, whatever, and I'll sit out there. First I'll bring them in and clean them. Even the new ones I'll clean, I'll sit out there and I'll listen to them one side after another, and it's you get up, you have to walk over to the machine, and
yes.
Over. Gonna turn it off temporarily or pause or whatever, flip it over, start it up, restart it. Try not to scratch anything. Try not to
You're involved. You're invested in your art, Royce, right there. Right there.
I don't know if you saw it, but if you look over my shoulder, there's a rack with over 160 CDs in it.
Oh, I saw your video. I haven't had a chance to type a response, but I did see it.
It's quite all right. It got kind of a little carried away. I thought I was going to make a little 20-minute thing. It turned out to be 8 minutes as I pulled every single CD out. I didn't talk about them all. Some of them just I had 7 Pink Floyds, 4 or 5 Led Zeppelins, including 2 box sets, all given to me.
I know.
Hendrix, everything. Bowie, 2 Bowies, it was really 95% great stuff that I would have bought, you know. And the one thing about CDs, now I stopped collecting CDs, and 2/3 of my collection disappeared, you know. And I'm not sure. I had one of these 400 players. You could load 400 CDs and DVDs in it. You really had to keep track of what was on what line. And you could watch movies, 400. It was a 7.1 surround sound, or 7.2, whatever it is. A bunch of clip speakers that are all the way around my living room and area and stuff like that. And that thing was hooked to them, had a great big subwoofer. And finally that broke, the big carousel that handled a 400, you know. And I took it out of my garage. It still had a bunch of CDs in it. And I remember taking them all out. And I had them stacked out there on a shelf. And I mean, I had, you know, Bob Dylan box sets. I mean, all kinds of stuff. And I don't know what happened to all of them. You know, they're all kind of gone. I mean, I still have a lot of my CDs, you know, but half of them at least, at minimum, half or more have disappeared. So anyway,
I'll be back.
So it was really nice to get this little hoard here because you know what? You can't take a vinyl album on the road with you. You can take your CDs out there, plug them in. And I mean, I got some James Brown, I got Johnny Rivers' greatest hits, you know, and I was listening to Johnny Rivers in junior high school, and boy, did this sound as good as it ever did, you know.
You know why I went to CDs, Royce? I wasn't going to at first. I heard and I saw. See, I had already seen the laser discs for videos. Remember? And they had already failed. So I thought, oh, it's a passing fad. I'm not going to get into it. Then I was over at a guy's house, and he showed me Brothers in Arms on a real nice system on CD, which the album was basically recorded to sound good on CD. So that changed my mind. Because I had a good system. You know, it wasn't the most expensive system. I'd say, you know, upper middle range, really nice speakers. And this guy with a lesser system sounded better. The music just sounded so crystal clear. Wow. The lows were expansive, and it's like, okay, there you go. And so I got that one. I think that was like my third or fourth CD I ever bought. But I immediately, being, you know, a McCartney fan, a Beatle fan, he just released Tug of War and recorded it digitally. It's one of the first albums out there, not the, but one, that was recorded digitally purposefully. And so I bought that, one of his best, by the way.
Okay.
And like I stated in my latest video, I also bought Whitney Houston's first album. You know.
Yeah, you know, that's interesting. You know, my oldest daughter, there for a while, her favorite artist was Whitney Houston. And my wife and I, she was always a good student. She always got A's and B's. We never had to worry about her in school. So I mean, that was the reason I could get away with pulling her out of school on Wednesday and go snowboarding up the mountain, you know. Because I wasn't hurting her at school. And we had a lot of fun doing that midweek when there was very few people up there. But anyway, she loved Whitney Houston. And so Betty and I surprised her. We bought Whitney Houston tickets. We drove over to Bakersfield or Fresno. I don't remember now. And we went in, and we didn't have very good seats. And Amber was just in shock that she was getting to see Whitney Houston, right, live. And so we got in there, and we had really poor seats. And me and my daughter looked at each other and said, "Well, we can see some better seats closer." And Betty doesn't do that kind of stuff. She was kind of flipping out, and she's like, "No, we're going to get in trouble. We're going to get in trouble." And so finally, we were able to convince her. We walked up and got on like fourth row seats or something. A Whitney Houston concert where she was at the top of her game, and it was a good show. I mean, she was a very talented lady, you know. But anyway, let's all welcome my good friend Aaron, who goes by Mr. Bizarro on his channel, and he's got he does a lot of good shows. He plays a lot of fantastic music, very entertaining when he's talking too. And I love going to his show whenever I can. So you guys, Mr. Bizarro, he's in the chat. You know, a lot of the people that are here know him. Caitlin goes to his show sometimes. I see some of our other friends there too. But Mr. Bizarro's got a fun show, He's really a good guy. So anyway, thanks for being here, Aaron. We really appreciate it. Maslov was here earlier. Anyway, so I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just going over this whole stuff. There's a lot of changes coming up, and I mean, multi-genre hybrid tracks that are going to cross over. I'll be glad to see the kind of genre things start to fade out. Yes, there'll always be country, there'll always be rock and roll, and maybe a few other things, but it doesn't have to be 20 little subgenres in rock and roll. Let's just have rock and roll. I mean, that's how I feel.
I don't understand. I'm not thinking it's going to be really that sensational. It'll really have to, like we talked about earlier, these young musicians coming up kind of bring back the old classic type of rock, but with their twist to it. That's what
I'm hoping for.
I personally think the subgenre in rock and roll is wonderful. But I do agree with you. It's gotten out of hand. Metal is a good example of that. You've got, this kind of metal. Then you've got Death touring on ice skates metal. Then you have touring with Death on ice skates, running over ants metal, and then and so when subgenres start dividing into subgenres,
right,
then it becomes difficult as a fan to follow that. But for example, some metal I like, some I don't. I don't like the frog face or the frog voice metal. Croak metal. I call it croak metal. No, not me. Not me ever.
I went to a local concert like in the 80s. The guy got up and started making these, the singer, making these like frog croaks. And everybody in the whole room started laughing. And must have been his wife that was with him. She was panicking. What's wrong with everybody? Why aren't they enjoying this? Like I said, one frog croak after another is the most ridiculous thing I've heard.
I know, but see, the problem without subgenres, all right, is no expanse. You get rigid rules. You have to stay within the fence. And if one thing that was really great about our youth was that wasn't the rules at all. You could be any and create any type of music you wanted to. Without subgenre or the mindset that created that subgenre, you would never have had Hendrix. Hendrix would have never been allowed through the back door. Okay, you would have never have had him. Okay, not in rock and roll. Wrong color. Rock and roll is white. Well, yeah, we stole it from the blues, but it's white. That would have been ridiculous. And we need to be able to embrace people playing with what is rock and roll. Otherwise, we won't get bands like Yes or King Crimson. We won't get bands all of a sudden sounding rather calypso in a pop sort of way with a dark timbre like the Police. Or we won't get Carly Simon or Carole King finally coming out of the Brill building and giving us the wonderful Tapestry and showing us, oh, I was just toying before,
No, I know. It just seems to me, though, that back, like when Hendrix was discovered in England, after being taken over there by Chas Chandler, who was the bass player in Eric Bird and the Animals. He later became Eric Bird and the Animals. But anyway, he became a star in England, not here.
Right.
It was different. The racial thing was completely different there. They never had slaves or anything there. And I don't really remember there even being sub-genres back then.
Yeah.
Also.
But here's the thing, Royce. If
the time that the Police came out, they started separating into these little sub-genres.
Yeah, but here's the thing with Hendrix. Let's say that he had just stayed in England, and that was true. That they didn't have the racial tensions we have at the time, which I think is bullshit. I think everybody did. But anyway, they just were more. That's quite all right. Pass the Grey Poupon, monster. But anyway, here's the deal. If he had just gotten it there, then we still wouldn't be talking about Jimmy, probably. To this day, it was the American audience that was willing to listen. That was the greater audience. We're just a bigger nation, more people, right? It's not a better audience. It's just a bigger audience. And that bigger audience was big enough to be embracing to just about anything. And you know what? Rock got better because
it was also the times. It was like the summer of love.
Right.
You know, and everything that went along with that. You know, everybody partying, people using drugs all over the place. There was a whole different mindset there for a few years with the people that were listening to that kind of music. All the stuff that came out of Laurel Canyon and
I think the whole key to staying popular for years and years is you got to be unique and you got to be live.
5 years earlier, Hendrix would have never made it. But during that period of time, you know, all the free concerts at the Golden Gate Park, just down from Haight-Ashbury, and the Grateful Dead down there in Santana, and Janis Joplin and Big Brother and the Holding Company, and all those bands playing for free, and everybody was on psychedelics and stuff like that. It was in that context that Hendrix showed up back in America. You know,
Yeah.
You know, I mean, a few years earlier, he may have never hit it big here. You know, but it needed to happen at that time.
At a festival, West Coast, you know,
Monterey Pop,
off the Pacific Ocean, and what better? And voila, you know, all of a sudden, he was the guitarist everybody wanted to be. You know, from what I understand, this is a true story. I've heard it in I've read it in several books. Pete Townsend approached Eric Clapton after he had heard Jimmy, experienced him live, and he told Eric Clapton, he says, "You and I are out of a job."
Right.
Now, the fact that Pete Townsend would even compare himself to Eric Clapton is phenomenal in itself. But Pete Townsend, I mean, he was really astute. You know, I mean, he always has been. That's part of his art. He's not so much a great lead guitarist as a great songwriter and performer, you know?
Right. Yeah, no, that's true. And there's a lot of stories like that. You know, when Hendrix did his last concert in England before coming back to America at the Star, everybody was in attendance. I think the Beatles, at least John Lennon, Paul McCartney were there. All these big bands, big English bands, and members were there watching his final show. You know, they didn't know when.
McCartney was blown away because they had just released Sgt. Pepper on Friday, and here's Jimmy on Sunday playing it live. He said he was freaked out.
Yeah, that's right. He did the same thing on Cream's "Sunshine of Your Love," I think it was. You know, but I remember Eric Clapton saw him in concert for the first time. And he went backstage, and I don't remember who was there or whatever, but he was lighting a cigarette, and his hands were shaking. And he looks up at the guy, and he goes, "Is he really that good?"
No, what's it really going to take? The new trends, they're not going to be able to. They're not going to be able to top the old trends. They're not going to be able to top it. It's just going to be a continuation.
Well, you know what?
Music is probably going to be good, but it's never going to beat it. It's never going to beat it. I mean, alternative disco, funk, country, Frank Sinatra, Elvis Presley, it's never going to beat that. But it's going to be good music. It's going to probably keep going, but it's never going to top what we've already had. I don't believe it'll ever top it.
Well, you know what? And that's us saying this, but did somebody 50 years older than us say the same thing 50 years ago? I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, like I talked about.
I doubt it.
You know what, Linda, you're right. And Duane Allman is very underrated. And I think it's because he was a slide player. Yeah. He kind of gets hooked in with other slide players, which, I mean, back in the day, he was talked about as much as Clapton, Beck, Page, Hendrix, right? Richie Blackmore, right? All of those guys were talked about right along with Duane Allman. So Duane Allman's name was always in the in a conversation back then. He was huge.
Well, you know, in that CD haul I got that I showed the other night, I have the 2 CDs of the Allman Brothers at the Fillmore East. And
yeah,
that is
best live album ever. Best live album ever.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
You know, I told this on my channel recently, was my ex bass player was practicing with this band. He says, "You want to come out?" It was out at the Russian River, you know. And so I went out there, and this band sounded fantastic. And I had heard the Allman Brothers, a couple of tracks. I wasn't that impressed, but they were playing like In Memory of Elizabeth Reed, Whipping Post. And I go, "What is this music?" And he says, "Oh, it's Allman Brothers." And I go, "Well, I've heard Allman Brothers, but this is," he goes, no. Most of the stuff we play is off of the live album. So I went out and got it. I was a fan.
Right.
You know, that's what turned me on to the Allman Brothers. It wasn't like their more radio friendly stuff.
Right,
you know?
right.
Yeah.
No, exactly. Just a great album.
Oh God, great vocalist, great guitarist, 2 drummers, fantastic bassist, a great second guitarist. What do you do? I mean, and a jam band.
Yeah.
Another one.
Right. Excellent.
Yep.
No, that's true. You know, Richie, I don't know what to say about that comment about, are we going to see this again? Because, I mean, we had, I mean, think of the British Invasion and all those great bands from the Beatles through the Yardbirds.
Tons of them, yeah.
And you know what? Somebody that we don't speak about enough of, like the Rolling Stones. Every time I start listening to the Rolling Stones, I start thinking, is this actually my favorite band? I mean, they have so much great music out there.
You know, they were able to stay alive during all the changes and everything. Just like Rod Stewart and all those guys stayed alive during all the changes. That's amazing.
Even like in junior high school, we're listening to I Can't Get No Satisfaction and all those other early songs like Ruby Tuesday and stuff like that. And I mean, going back to the, you know, early 60s, their songs were great, you know?
Yeah.
And they could.
Well, I mean, they've got Keith Richards. Him and Cockroaches will endure. You know? I mean, nothing can kill the guy. Nothing can kill the guy. You know, he's impervious. And somehow, you know, him and Mick, I think with the Rolling Stones, they're a band that plays it like, all right, here we are, and blah, blah, blah. And they go that way for a while. Then all of a sudden they lurch. You know, they did that. You know, it's like, and of course that happened with once Brian was gone, they brought along the new guitarist and Sticky Fingers and everything. That was a new Stones. From that point on, the Stones they didn't need the Beatles for inspiration. They didn't need to be tagged with any of the other British invasion bands. They were on Sticky Fingers put them on another level. Mom and dads were buying Sticky Fingers.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've got one hanging on my wall in a frame. One of those frames you buy for albums. And
what a great album.
That's a newer reproduced one, but the one that I keep in my, on my shelf over here, in the Stones box, is the one with the actual working zipper on it. You know, I've got that.
I remember the first record. Now, this isn't with Sticky Fingers, I don't think. I'm trying to remember their albums. There's so many. Right. But their single, the first single that sounded different. That, in other words, that doesn't sound like a fucking Beatles song. Excuse my language, guys. I didn't mean that. But that didn't sound like a Beatles song at all. And that was Honky Tonk Woman.
Yeah.
When that came out of the speakers, I went, who the hell is that? And they said, Rolling Stone. What? You know, I mean, that was them arriving for the 70s, really. Even though that probably came out, what, 68, 69? Was that a 69 single?
Song that was. Great song.
But they sounded so modern.
Yeah.
You know, it was different than the fuzz tone of Satisfaction, right? Which kind of made you think of see, they were saying, a riff. Yeah. It was another riff song, right? But Honky Tonk Woman had complete story, man. She had to take me upstairs for a ride. You know, I mean, there's a whole story there. That's an R-rated story, maybe X-rated if your mind works overtime. You know, and for the first time, it got past all the censors, the whole thing. Whoa! That's when they arrive.
What does it say? I met her in a gin-soaked bar room.
In Memphis.
Met a gin-soaked bar room queen in Memphis. She tried to
Yeah, don't worry, millennialists. You cannot shock us. You know, I mean, it's been there. That stuff's been there all along. You know,
it's all been done. A lot of people disagree with me, but I think it's all been done.
Yeah.
Well, what are you going to do to make it better? What are you going to do to make it better?
You keep hammering, baby. That's what you do, and you know that's art.
What are they going to do?
Art stagnates, you know, at times.
How are they going to new trend going to make that better? The new young people coming in. What are they going to do?
Well, first of all, they got to learn to play their instruments and not use backing tracks and quit lip sync.
Yeah, you're right about that.
So, learn to play your instrument. Listen to what came before. Get inspired. And if some crazy little idea comes in your head as far as presenting your music, follow your muse.
Right.
Yeah.
Forget
about this techno and space age crap.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And just play some music.
Frank made an interesting comment here about Honky Tonk Woman. A great sloppy rock and roll tune with country type storyline.
Right, but you know what I heard in it was staggering precision. It does have that sloppy sound. That's its genius. Because listen to those guitar parts. Because it does have that stagger beat.
There's a real hook there, though.
They don't miss. They're right where they're supposed to be. That's, I think, what excited me was. But that's a good word to use. Slop. It was like controlled slop or something. Yeah.
Rock and roll is controlled.
Yeah.
It's got to be a little loose, but it's got to be.
It does, yeah.
You know? That's what it's all about. Loosen it up, you know.
And allow for a mistake, you know. And as an audience, be willing to hear a mistake because those artists are putting it all out on the line, and they're going to have good nights and bad nights. All the artists today are doing are homogenizing their sounds. They never sound bad, but they never sound brilliant.
You know, I've never heard a lot of mistakes, very many mistakes in a live concert. I've heard good bands and bad bands, but I've never heard too many mistakes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I was there the night that Keith Moon passed out on stage after trying to punch, Townsend out in San Francisco on their Quadrophenia tour. So there were a few mistakes that night. But the mistakes became less once they got a sober drummer up there. They pulled the kid out of the audience, you know.
I read that recently.
I was there that night. Brother. One of the best concerts I ever was at.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That was a big mistake right there. You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
But you know, be willing to allow. You know, it's like if all of a sudden the state told Picasso, paint right, you know, we wouldn't have Picasso. We wouldn't have that. I love paintings with dripping watches.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
And if everybody followed, this is true in the history of art. Take a look at the Egyptian art and how the ancient Greeks patterned from that which came before and even perfected it before. We get our entire music from the Greeks, and it's in their art. Their music was in their architecture. All right, so it's all part of what's there. It's we experience it on an inner level, and we've got to be able to allow ourselves to do it, and then to be informed. Ask questions. You know, I had to go through hours of interview with Billy Corgan to even begin to understand the latest Pumpkins album. I tried to on my own. I couldn't figure it out. You know.
You know what? I thought it was so different from the earlier stuff because I had one of the earlier albums, the one with I that was a real popular song. What was the name of that song?
I don't know. It's all Gish or it's one of their first 2 albums, I'm sure, right? Because You Didn't Care for Melancholy.
Yeah.
See, it was Melancholy that turned me on to them. To me, before Melancholy, they sounded kind of the same as the grunge bands.
Yeah.
And then with Melancholy coming out, and the killer in me is the killer in you. I don't know. That ripped right to my heart, guys.
Yeah.
Because that made sense to me. You know that made sense. That spoke to me.
Royce, this was a great subject tonight, this new trends thing. It's really frustrating, but it's a great subject, you know?
Yeah.
Because the frustration comes in with what in the hell are they going to do? And I keep going back to that.
Yeah.
What are the new people going to do? It's really frustrating what they're going to come up with.
They are doing it. You know, like there's a lot of new bands out there. I've kind of looked.
I haven't been listening to them, but you know, I'm just wondering how they're going to have their own thing and do the same stuff, but with a change to it and get their own identity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm wondering.
Well, see, take a look at Greta Van Fleet. Nobody wants to give them a chance, although they're going to tour with Metallica. We'll see what happens after that. But Greta Van Fleet sound, especially on their first album, it was an EP, but it's an album. It was 30 minutes and more. Sounded very close to Led Zeppelin. And everybody hung them out to dry, right? And it's like, why? You didn't do that to Badfinger or ELO or Clat 2 or James Taylor or David Gates and his miserable meanderings. Why all of a sudden is Greta Van Fleet sounding like a band that was before such a great crime? I've seen them live. Matter of fact, they were the last concert before the Big P came along that I saw. My daughter and my wife and I went to go see Greta Van Fleet. They were incredible. The kid's got a voice like Robert used to have. He needs to, if there's a problem with them, is they're still establishing their identity, and I think they're going a little too glossy. But anyway, we'll see what the next album is. But on top of that, he needs to add some, and that'll come with age, grit, some character to his voice. He's almost too pristine. But other than that, they're brilliant.
Really good points you just made. Robert's voice is so unique. And you can't really call it even nuances because all the uniqueness is in your face.
Yeah.
But it just, I don't even know how to describe it, but he's my favorite frontman. So
Me too.
That way.
Me too, Royce. You and I have never disagreed in that, you know.
No.
Yeah.
It gets me is these guys like the Stones in their 70s, pushing 80, get out there and they're still putting it out like they did when they first came out. Practically, you know, they're still just putting the music out there, and it's good and it's raw. It's good and it's clean. You know,
it's great.
It just blows me away. You know, Anyway, I don't even notice too much difference from years and years ago. 40 years ago, whatever. 40 years.
I hear you. Well, you know, guys, it's almost 8 o'clock. We've been going for an hour.
Good Lord.
And I was wondering how this show was going to go to an hour.
Well, Royce, I do want to say thank you for having me on, and thanks for bearing up under me tonight. I really wanted to be on this one because your whole subject is pretty much what my whole channel is about. And I know there were times when I just wouldn't stop there, but there's a lot of stuff. When you said what your subject was, it was like, I got to be on that one. Yeah.
I was trying to figure out what in the heck are you going to talk about? New trends? Give me a break, you know?
Well, let me tell you, this is what we're going to talk about next week. The most anticipated 28 concerts in the year 2023. Ooh. And they've really mixed it up a little bit. Different bands are touring with different bands now and stuff like that. And it looks like there's going to be some interesting stuff out there. I've already been researching it and plotting things out and stuff like that. But
you're saying 28?
The 28 most anticipated concerts.
Okay. For 2023,
Maybe that's all that's been announced so far. I don't know.
You mean there's some upcoming concerts?
Upcoming, yeah.
Of new groups or old groups just touring?
You've got people like Zach Wilde, that are playing for Pantera now. But he's also going to be touring with Black Label Society the same year, so that should be kind of interesting.
Wow. Yeah.
See how that all works out. Maybe one stops, the other starts. I don't know. But there was quite a few lineup changes from what happened this year.
Yeah.
I mean, Motley Crue's still going to be out there. I think Def Leppard's with them, but then there's some new people with them. And it's all kind of changed up. The bands have kind of regrouped with each other and stuff.
Right.
It'd be pretty interesting. It'd be at least fun to talk about. We'll have a lot to compare it to for this with this past year. Definitely been.
I can't wait. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, I want to thank you guys, man. I really appreciate Richie, Michael, you guys coming in, and everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Subscribe to Michael and subscribe to Richie, my younger brother. His show is fun. He plays the guitar and sings throughout the show.
Sometimes.
And, yeah. And it's very enjoyable. I enjoy it. You've got Rachel's Ghost coming on tomorrow, don't you, Rachel?
I can't do it. Okay.
You've got Rachel's Ghost coming on your show tomorrow, right?
Supposed to.
Yeah.
Oh,
she
cool.
said she wanted to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so I'm sure I'm gonna drop in there.
Good.
Yeah.
You both can drop in if you'd like it. It doesn't matter to me.
Oh yeah.
Can be
That's a good idea. Let's all go to Richie Eddings' The Jesus Movement tomorrow.
Everybody. Come on over.
Well,
the party's over there.
I can only have 6, so if you got
No. We've got a chat though, right?
Oh yeah, we got chat. I forgot. We got chat.
Okay.
I love going into the peanut gallery too. I love that. Over at Rachel's channel, I troll the peanut gallery all the time. No, I love it.
I've been watching her off and on, because I wake up early and then I put my phone. I look on my phone and she's usually on.
Yeah, I don't miss her unless I've been up editing for 3 days, and then I'll miss like 2 of her episodes. But if I'm at all up, I switch her on. They go the gambit over there.
I know.
And she's growing really fast. She really is. Have you seen her shorts, Royce?
Her what?
Her shorts?
I've seen a couple, yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, her and Sue really do them up nice.
Okay.
Right on.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Well, can you hear the background music, Michael?
No.
Okay, I'm the only one that can hear it. It was a band my brother was in. It was his son's band.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's all originals. I can't get busted for a strike or a claim.
Right.
The one you're trying to play, one came in third in a garage band contest.
Yeah.
Cool.
There was over 1,000 bands in it.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a blues song,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty good blues song.
Yeah, it's a great one. That's you playing the blues at the beginning, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I did the guitar intro, and I think there might be another solo in there, but
yeah, I think there is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's been playing on repeat all night.
That's it. I hadn't heard it. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. All right.
Might be my earphones. I don't know.
I need to know, because Richie can't hear it either. Maybe I need to upgrade the program.
You better get on with the technical guy and see what's up.
I know. Okay, guys, we're gonna close the show. I want to thank everybody. Thank my close. I want to thank everybody in the chat.
Yep.
Dan, I hope you're feeling better. Dan got COVID.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Dan. Really.
Sick.
I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, I think he's doing better. Anyway, I hope he's back up to full
He'll be
power
fine.
for long.
We all had it in our house. Us 3 had it.
Right.
It wasn't horrible, but there was a few bad days.
Yeah, it's different for everybody. It's different for everybody. My daughter had it twice in our house. My grandson had it once. Betty and I never got it the whole time. But of course, I ran around.
You guys are just carriers, right?
Huh? What?
You're just carriers. You're and Betty. You just carry it.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody for joining. Please hit the like button.
Thank you, everybody.
Out, and if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. We would really appreciate it. And thank you all so much.
I'm just kidding.
And that's what's going on in Versus World today. And Michael's and Richie. Okay. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Take it easy.